Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm here with Edith Otete, and we have some breaking news. Edith, could you take us on?
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Edith Otete, and with Loveness, we are the co-founders of Digital Wellness Africa. We have an emergency alert that we felt we could not spend a night without sharing with you.
Yeah.
Here in Zimbabwe, a lot of parents have just taken their children to school for second term. And as per tradition, we've been seeing on social media the welcome back to school, children walking into schools, into class, having their first assembly and so forth. But as we were also, as moms, getting into the back to school mode, something was brought to our attention by colleagues who are in the UK. And this is an emerging crime where what's happening is that criminals are using AI to create explicit images of children. Where are they getting these photographs to create the images? It is from the social media platforms where schools have put photographs of those children. So we are very big on being proactive. While there haven't been any reports here in Zimbabwe or in Africa for that matter, we haven't heard anything so far. We felt that it is something, of course, that we have spoken about before, where we were warning schools, we're warning parents, warning any community that or organization that works with children to refrain from putting their photographs, their videos, and any other personally identifiable information on their social media and platforms and their websites. We have been talking about this for quite a while.
Yeah.
But now there's a bigger sense of urgency. It is not business as usual. These crimes are going to infiltrate our societies sooner than later. What does that mean for institutions that are continuing to have children's images on their platforms? It means that if a criminal should use those images, which were collected from your platform, then you become liable. You become liable because you have facilitated that crime. And we know that schools know about the dangers. We know that schools know about the hazards of sharing personally identifiable information, particularly photographs of students online. We know this, they know this. Why? Because we have engaged with the schools. And some of them, when we were about to warn them, they were quick to say, yes, we know about it and we're doing something about it. But we are not seeing change. So, Loveness, I don't know what you can add because I'm just fired up. This is like scary for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and you know what is scary for me? I think the most scariest thing about this conversation is the first time the alarm bells were ringing because we had seen a child advertise a school. And so it was an emerging something that was happening, a big school, well-known school with banners in the main roads, using students for their advertising.
And for
I
TikToks.
remember, yeah, and you know what was scary on one of the social media platforms? I remember us going through the comments. These comments, because the child had shared her name and she was wearing the school uniform, blazer, everything, had told us where she is. And
Yes.
I remember these older men saying, I think Matipa, I'm going to come back to school.
Yeah.
If you are there, you know.
Mhm.
And
It was.
and for me, as a mom, both of us are moms, it's really scary. And
Yeah.
one of the defenses that we also had from the schools was that the parents signed consent. They
Yes.
signed for consent. And Edith, I think that one on its own is a conversation that we must unpack. The issue
Yeah,
of,
Loveness. I
yeah, what
agree.
are you consenting to as a
I
parent?
agree. You know what, Loveness? I love working with schools. We both love working with the schools, especially in our part of the world. And they've been very gracious with us. Some of them have invited us to speak to their communities.
Yes.
However, they are not doing enough. When it comes to consent, I've seen quite a couple of those consent forms that they're sending with the children to parents. These forms are just saying we sometimes place images of our students on our social media platforms. And so we are required by law to notify you that this is what we do. And we would like you to let us know if it's okay or not for us to share your child's images online. And when they do that, they then just give you that option of saying, yes, I consent, go ahead and put my child on your socials, or no, I do not consent. I am not comfortable with my child being on social media platforms and websites. Right. But schools can do better. They can do better because this is not informed consent. This is just schools
No.
being compliant. They're just being compliant with what the regulator is saying they must do.
Yes.
But at the heart of it, for me, having worked in regulation, I know that there is more that could be done. Schools have a duty to tell parents that the reason why the regulator requires consent is because they are cyber criminals who have been
Yes.
known to do all sorts of things with children's images, those images being sourced from the school platforms as well as the parents' platforms. The parents
Mhm.
uploaded images of their own children. Criminals could take those images and use them for example, to create child pornographic material, or
Mm.
them to create to steal identities, or even to be able to access the children in the physical world, because now they've got the child's name. They know this child was in form 4 last year, and they had 10 A-level passes, and they even have the child's photo. So there's so much that can happen with us giving that kind of information. So schools know this, but they also have a duty to inform parents that this is why we're taking these steps. Then
Mhm.
another thing that concerns me is, if I am signing today to say I do not want my child to have my child's image online,
Yes.
what is going to happen to the previous images that you uploaded?
Yes.
Going to
Good
bring
question.
them bring those down? Are you going to go through that exercise of confirming that the parents who said no are these ones, and their children's photos, which we have, you tag them and you remove them? What's going to happen? Schools are silent on that. That's why I say they could do better, Agnes. I don't know what your
Mm.
thoughts.
Well, I think you've literally summed everything else, because I think for me, the question is, do you understand with clarity
Yeah,
what you are allowing the school
to
to
do.
use? What does this mean? You are consenting to your child's image to
Yes,
being accessible to everybody. That's number
anyone.
one.
Yeah,
Number two, yeah, it doesn't matter whether I'm saying the child is cute
I'm actually
or
crying
down,
now thinking about it.
or you want to. I'm so sorry, it hurts to you. Or saying I want to download this child's picture. And also for me as a digital marketer, one of the things that we always emphasize on is digital footprint. And
Mhm.
if a child has a digital footprint from the time they were a fetus up to the time that they grow,
Yeah.
what I mean, I don't know, as parents, we can say schools, but parents, the responsibility lies with you. We have
Yes.
cases. in developed countries where children are looking in retrospect and suing their parents and guardians
Yeah.
for saying, you actually put out my content, my image,
Mm-hmm.
my IP without,
Without permission.
yeah, without
Yeah.
permission, without my permission. Now imagine if I want to get married, if I have opportunity, someone just digs up and sees me in my diaper, sees me as a fetus, sees me going
Yeah.
to school on the first day, sees me my whole life. I know
Yeah.
that that movie, is it called the Truman? What is it called? The one with what's his name? The comedian, where his
Mm.
whole life
Life
was
is online.
online.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just think yes, we are excited. Yes, we know, it's really exciting for the child to be going to school and everything.
And going to a
And once,
particular school.
yeah, once today we're talking to the schools, and the schools must make an effort to tell the parents the implications of
Yes.
having that child online.
True.
People will see, people will comment, people will download, people will save,
Yeah.
people will screenshot. Someone can actually notify that picture. So,
Yes.
case in the UK, why we are speaking like this is
Uh-huh.
because from experience, we have noted that every time we have said no, Zimbabwe is still far. Ah, no,
Mhm.
we're not. We
Yeah.
have had rude awakenings in the
Yeah.
last 2 years.
Yeah.
The things that we were seeing in the European countries are becoming cases here in
Mm,
Zimbabwe
mm,
that
mm,
we are currently dealing with. And so
mm,
they even said in the UK that even though this is not yet widespread in the UK itself, but
mhm.
experience has showed that it's only a matter of time.
Of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
a matter.
Yeah.
So
No, we have to learn from past mistakes. Sorry, Loveness, I think I cut you off. I had a bit
no
of a
problem.
lag.
Please go
Just
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm totally in agreement. No, I was done because
Yeah.
I know me and you can go on and on about this
Yeah.
because
It's
we are
something close
seeing
to our
on the
hearts.
ground.
Yeah.
We are the people on the ground and we are seeing what's
Yes.
happening, and as a parent, I think it's fine if you decide to go ahead after watching this and saying, you know what, it's okay, this is your personal choice. But
Yeah.
do it from an informed position that
Exactly.
this is what you are actually consenting to. This is what you are saying, doing with your child's images, and
Yeah.
bring to book or ask the school, what about my child's picture on social media and she's wearing her sports skirt, which is also kind of short, and you
Mm.
guys took a picture of her and you put it out there.
Yeah, there has to be more accountability from all parties that work with children. And when you look at it from a constitutional point of view, it has to speak to the best interest of a child. Are
Yes.
we putting the images for that child to benefit? I don't think so. I think it's for us to be able to market our schools and show that we have these activities. We have children who are passing this well. We've
Yeah.
got our when schools opened, we had all these students returning to school. It's mostly for the school's ego. On the parent side, yes, I'm also a parent, and I have been excited to see my child having that the image there and her being celebrated, him being celebrated, or whatever it was. But because I know better, that's why we are appealing to both the schools and the parents to do better.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not enough to do it for yourself to show people that you've sent your child to this particular school, or that your child has these particular results, or they're in this particular school team, or whatever it is. That was back then, before the age of the type of AI that we have,
Mhm.
before the type of crimes that we are seeing now. So it is not to shame each other, it is to raise each other's awareness to the possibility of something like this happening. do we want to be found on the wrong side of the law, but also do we want to compromise our children in that way? Because when you look at it, I just want to read out what happens with this particular crime. So criminals will go online, they find the photos of your pupil, your child. They use AI tools to create the explicit images. And where the problem for me is that in the reported cases, they have not blackmailed the school. They've blackmailed the child because now they've got the child's credentials. The parents created a digital footprint for that child. The school has also added to the digital footprint. And now these people know where your child learns, what form or grade they are in, and all that. And then they have that image. So they then go directly to the child, blackmail them, and they tell them, threaten them that they'll share the images unless money or more photos are provided. With the work that we do, knowing children the way we do, the first instinct is to feel shame,
Yes.
followed by
Yes.
fear. They
Yes.
feel trapped, they feel scared, they don't want to tell anyone because now they're not sure how these people got their image. They're not aware that even a school photo can be a source of this type of image. And like Lavna said, where they've been stripped naked, they're nude, they feel the shame that how do I
Yeah.
even tell
Yeah.
anyone about this? How do I tell anyone? And what then happens is that your child is going to try to solve this problem, which they didn't create on their own. That's why you see this passion and this drive that we have, because we have worked with these children, we continue to work with them. We see the type of impact that such actions have on them, even when they are the ones who did
Yes.
the photo sharing and whatnot. There's a certain trauma that we have seen with them, and we don't want them to be placed in these situations. No, not on our watch.
No. No.
Watch.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for us to just say more some of the sessions that we have with the kids and also sometimes with the parents in the same room. The children always show some sort of they're inhibited, they pull back. It takes a lot for us to make them feel comfortable, make them feel
Mhm.
like they're in a safe space, and
Yeah.
tell them that you know what, you are in a safe space, you can say what you want to say, no repercussions will come. So this is also it's an indicator that if something bad happens, some children would definitely want to try and solve this by themselves.
Mm.
And hence, it brings me to the next point, which is parents must build relationships with their children and give them
Absolutely.
the reassurance that there is no mistake that cannot be fixed.
Mm.
There's just, I may be mad, I'll go crazy, I'll get upset, but you are the most important thing. You please just tell me anything. Whatever is
Yes.
happening in your life, I want to know about it. And an interesting fact is there's a UK case where the the blackmailers harvested the 150 pictures from the
Mhm.
school social media and the website, and they went to the school and said, we've got 150 pictures of your students. If
Mm.
you don't pay us, we are going to put them out. And fortunately, in the UK, they've got so many internet safeguarding organizations that actually have the tools to. They took
Mm.
those pictures and they then added what's it called? They hashed them. I don't know the actual procedure, but it's actually adding an identity on that picture, even if it's resized, manipulated, whatnot, edited, and if they submitted those pictures to the tech companies, your big tech, your online spaces, and all that, and those images will never be able to be uploaded.
Included.
We
Mhm.
not the case for us. We don't have that technology. We
Mhm.
don't have those strategic partnerships. So hence we are coming to you as a school and as a parent. But seriously, with the schools, it's possible for you to market your school without adding a child's front facing image. That's,
Yes.
I think it is.
It is possible.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. Let's maybe just put our heads together and see how best we can continue to showcase our schools, but not at the expense of the precious children that we are serving.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I think our cry is, you know what, let's everybody put their hands to the plow. Let's put
Yes.
our heads together, our hands in whatever form, whether even the software developers, we need you to come
Yeah.
up with these tools that are able to do that. So that also brings me to our hackathon that we
Uh-huh.
are going to be hosting. Please note that we will be announcing soon the start of a hackathon to actually deal with these things. We think it's critical and important. And if you want to be part of it, or you want to sponsor in what, or you want to participate in whichever fashion, please get in touch with us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got anything else to say about this issue before we move on to the next hot issue, the next burning
No,
one.
I think the only thing that I would add is that when we are now implementing whatever strategy we're going to come up with as parents as well as schools, we must always remember that compliance is great, but the compliance must have a heart to it.
Yes.
We have to really go beyond performing like the tech companies that are out to get profits
Yeah.
from us, from the children, from our content, and also maybe talk to your children, talk
Yeah.
to your students, make sure that they understand the risks, but also what Loveness just said, that nothing that they do cannot be solved, and you are there for them. Schools as well, because what we've seen in the past sometimes is that children who, like when we had children sharing their nudes, there was a lot of
Yes.
shaming from schools of those
Yes.
schools, and the environment became very toxic for them. So let's have hearts as educators who are really relying on those children for our sustenance if we
Yes.
must do it.
It must
So
be fair.
let's do better. That's, yeah, those would be my parting words on that, Loveness.
Yeah, thank you so much for that one. And where, if you're a school, you're a parent, or you're part of, you're in the education system, and you need your policies to be compliant with what we're talking about, your social media, your consent forms, your policies on social media, and all these things, just know that
Mhm.
as Deep as Africa, that is also an area of speciality for us. So
Mhm.
we will share our details at the end of this recording. And because of our time, I think let's move on to our dearest WhatsApp.
Yeah, yeah.
And the issue with WhatsApp is that we have schools that are opting to use WhatsApp as part of their EdTech.
Mhm.
Edith, what are your thoughts? What's your experience? And please note that I will be adding to after this resource, this video, we are adding a resource which has screenshots of what we are talking about, so that you are not. We don't want you to be trying to imagine things. We're going to actually show.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
going to provide the evidence.
the evidence, the real evidence.
So, yeah, so for me, what I used to think was that WhatsApp, especially for our communities from people on our side of the world. I thought WhatsApp was great because it allowed quick communication,
Yes.
also free communication, made it very accessible. I think, as far as I know, most majority of people have access to WhatsApp in
Yes.
comparison to anything else that has been used for education, right? Great.
Yes.
So we then started seeing so many frustrating things.
Yeah.
Just to share quickly, part of the reason why I got into this work was because my daughter was reminding me earlier, was because when she was 10 and the teacher was sending homework to WhatsApp, they had a class group when she was 10, right? And in that group, these kids would use their parents' numbers to be on that group. So it was basically a group that was on my WhatsApp, but my daughter was the one who would get in there and get homework and whatnot. But what then started happening, the kids started sharing things that were not school related. The thing
Yes.
that
Yes.
raised an alarm for me was when they took pictures of our former president and put them on the
Oh,
body
yes.
man, and they created, that was before stickers, I think, and before a lot of the little things that we see now, but they were having so much fun doing that. When I shared with parents that, did you know that this is what's happening with the kids? Parents said, "Oh, they're so creative. I would have never thought to do that." I was shocked. I was shocked that a parent could actually look at something that is wrong because you're teaching your child basically to not respect authority and to use technology for things that it was not intended for, and to use a platform for something that it wasn't intended for, right? So that was like 10 years ago, about or more. However, moving forward now after COVID, and we saw that schools could use different platforms, and WhatsApp was the go to for most of those schools. One of the problems was that teachers became accessible at any time of the day. Basically, for teachers, it means they don't switch off work because students are
Yeah.
approaching. I know my kids used to consult their teachers at any time when they're working at 10 p.m. on their an assignment, and they get stuck, text teacher for and expect a response. So that's adding pressure to that educator. On the other side, teachers are also texting children past midnight or around, really strange hours. Again, another problem. Then, because WhatsApp loves to give, Meta loves to give and give and give. One day we woke up and we had Meta AI. And suddenly, students are using Meta AI for homework.
Mm.
Another thing that now was a more recent one, the WhatsApp channels.
Mm.
Madness. I'll let you take
Mm.
this one.
Mm. Yeah. The WhatsApp channels. You know what? If I sound like outraged and if I sound preachy, if I
Mhm.
sound upset, it's because genuinely I am. I I just don't understand, first of all, why a teacher would send homework late at night. When I talk about late, is any time after 6 o'clock. For me, is
Mhm.
late
Mhm.
because this child has come from school. They need to, and whatever, also de-stress or whatever,
Mind,
regulate,
yeah. Mhm.
quieten down. They should also, I should have time with them to find out how was school and everything.
Mhm.
They have homework, and then they also need time to breathe and eat,
Mhm.
and then they get something late because it's WhatsApp. So my child was now developing this thing of always wanting to check WhatsApp, which means there was that trigger. Oh, I want to see. I want to. No,
Because they don't miss homework or
the
school
the
thing.
cutoff time, and lo
Mhm.
and behold, something comes in for him to do before the next day, and we would say no. Our child is in bed.
Mhm.
in bed. We don't expect him to be punished. We don't expect any repercussions. And now let's move on to these communities. These communities, because our children are naturally curious. Can you see the English is now running away because of the outrage? Oh my,
Suspecting.
yes. So, we've got channels that are there. If you go on these channels, the first ones that are suggested at the top are lewd and inappropriate. They have sexual, content, and it's scary. It's outright. It's right there in your face. When I showed my husband, he was like, "What?" And I said, now you see what I'll be talking about with Edith. Now do you see? And so the question was, yes, we understand. We love technology, guys. We thank God for the technology.
Yes.
But in terms of access, as a school, I believe that there's a responsibility to have a policy in place, to be intentional and deliberate. If you're going to create the WhatsApp group, I believe that it needs to be constantly supervised. You can't be a teacher and then you sometimes go quiet and then the group is left to its own devices. We've seen children that have shared vulgarities, that have sworn, things that my child does not know. So then he has grooming on the WhatsApp platform intended for him to actually go to school. It's an uncontrolled environment, no regulation. And even if you look at the reporting mechanisms, there are certain things that even if you are to report to Meta, you know what? I've an online self-designated popo, a police, since I got into the space. And I've made so many reports to Meta, which outraged me. And they said they saw nothing wrong. They absolutely saw nothing wrong. And when we talk about how bad it is in terms of our standards, their standards, recently in Zimbabwe, there was someone who was cyber flashing on on a social media networking platform where there are 13 and above children. She was showing her lady bits in front of everyone. She got to a point where she had 1 million followers and still nothing had been done. By the time we had found wind of it and wanted to engage with the regulatory authorities, yeah, fortunately they beat us to it because we found out later about it. But all I'm just saying is that there's a responsibility if the school opts to use a platform which we know very well in terms of online protection policies and their guardrails, they are weak, then definitely extra care must be taken. And
Yeah.
parents must be informed and trained. I'm just going to end there because I
Yeah.
could go on.
No, you said it very well, Loveness. I think the other observation that I made was that on those WhatsApp groups, you also find sometimes children or maybe people posing as children
Yes,
who are not part of the class or the school even being on that group.
yes,
It happened to one of the children that we work with, and they were saying, it even gets to the extent where people in our group, fellow students, share our numbers with external students
yes, yes,
or invite external students into our school group. And yeah, it's just it can get chaotic. It can become harmful as well. So, and what happens when children, from what we've seen, especially the younger ones from 12 going down, they are so excited to be in a community of that nature. They even end up doing things together or to impress each other. which are not okay. Like
Yes.
we've heard instances of cyberbullying and whatnot on a platform that's supposed to be for homework. So back to your point to say, if a school is going to instruct students to get into such communities, there has to be someone who moderates and who watches over what is happening there, and will also take the appropriate action promptly.
Yes. So, on that note, I really want to thank you, Edith. I enjoy these conversations, and just to reassure everybody that we will be having more of these.
Yeah.
And one thing that I almost forgotten to mention is that Meta AI, with a child, we had a session with a local church, and one of the children came up to us. She looked afraid, and she said, "So should we trust WhatsApp?" That was a question. And I said, "Why? What has been your experience?" She said, "I've been using the WhatsApp for my school, the Meta AI for my school, but then recently it started asking me questions about myself, personal questions, and we just said, do not answer. And make sure that you're telling your parents, you're open, showing them what's happening. Don't
Yeah.
keep quiet. But otherwise, as far as we know, just use it for what it's meant for. But
Yeah.
sadly, some children make it their AI companion, which is
Yeah.
another conversation
We
for
need to
another.
talk about that next time, Loveness.
Yes. We are coming back. Just know that we are coming back.
Yeah.
So I don't have much time. We have to rush to another commitment.
Yeah.
Just feel free to ask us any questions, reach out to us. I will share our numbers in our captions and contact information. Thank you so much, Edith.
Thanks, Loveness, and thank you, parents and educators. We are still friends, are we not? It is all for the love of our children.
How do they do the hearts? Bye.
We love you. We love them more.
Yes, we love them more.
Bye, Loveness.
Bye, Edith. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.